Hello, 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 my fellow burnt out besties. Welcome to Sass and Small Talk. I'm your host, Deb Bellino of Sass and Smalls, coming to you from the creative hub of all creative hubs, the glorious artistic space that is House of Owl Studios, my home away from home, nestled here in the core of our beautiful city, Victoria, BC. I'd like to take this opportunity to humbly acknowledge the Esquimalt, Songhees, and Wasanic nations, past and present, on whose traditional territories of the Algonquin-speaking people we learn, we live, and we work. The guests that I've invited to participate in this series offer an abundance of knowledge and insight and want nothing more than to help us, yes, us, get that sass back. I need my sass back. Oh, you too? Well, if you want that chaos to be a thing of the past and you're ready to get back some of that sass, I got you. Hey, I'm Deb, host of Sass and Small Talk, reclaiming the joy of parenthood beyond burnout. As a mom of two smallies, juggling all the things from caregiving for elderly parents as an active member of the sandwich generation, homeschooling, while navigating special needs. With my own neurospicy brain, I'm no stranger to caregiver and parenting burnout. Through this lived experience, I've met some of the most amazing local parents and experts within my own community of Victoria, BC. They'll share real stories of isolation, loss of self, and burnout, and how they found renewed purpose, all while embracing the chaos that is our lives. So, join us here at House of Owl. Take a seat, grab your poison, and let's talk. Darling, I need my sass back. Today, I am thrilled to welcome the very fabulous Sara Jonsson to the pod. Hailing from her blue-collar roots on the island, Sara grew up with a fierce determination to be exactly who she wanted to be. Her motto? Never waver in who the bleep I am. And trust me when I say she has lived up to that promise through a decade leading with Sephora Canada and now as the inside sales manager for Bellamy Professional and the co-founder of Toasty, a self-tanning brand with heart. The idea for Toasty sparked after watching her dad face skin cancer, and Sara's mission became very clear. Give people the glow they want, minus the risks. When she's not out championing female empowerment, values-based leadership, or her own growth with her undying loyalty to a good old-fashioned TED Talk, Sara is all about family. I have seen this firsthand. Her days are a whirlwind with her beautiful son, Cruz. Also, her secret gaming buddy. We'll be talking about that later. Her partner of 12 years, Jason, and 3 lively dogs. Let's not forget the amazing human that brought this incredible woman into the world, her mama. And with the rest of her close-knit family coming in and out of her home, chaos is no stranger to her household. In fact, she welcomes it with open arms. And like me, she likes to avoid that strange sensation called quiet. Ugh. She admits to a love for true crime marathons and a soft spot for what she calls snacking and solving murder mysteries. With her optimistic can-do attitude, Sara was even awarded the title of Optimistic Problem Solver by her team at Bellamy. That's an honor. All right, you will soon see in our conversation today what it means for Sara to be living a life in the flow zone, where she sees her career as a means of joy and passion that ignites her energy, not drain it. Sara's all about pushing boundaries, finding purpose in every project she does, and rising to whatever challenge is thrown her way. And we will be digging deep into those challenges. That said, ceilings do not exist in her world. She certainly is a force to be reckoned with. But has this force ever experienced the strain and struggle of making it work between the two very worlds that she loves so fiercely? Has her experience of caregiving for a loved one inspired a change of mindset when it comes to living life in the flow zone? Has masking her own needs and trials and feeling the need to carry on as per usual led to burnout? Well, that's why she's here on Sass and Small Talk today. My burnt out besties, I'm thrilled to have on the pod today the very wonderful and beautiful and dynamic Sara Jonsson. Sarah.
Thank you. What a wonderful intro.
Oh, Miss Johnson, if you're nasty, you are amazing. Like, as I read this, I'm like, who is this human? Is she human?
Oh,
This is
man.
crazy. You've done a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just it's like I said, it's in my nature. I don't have this wall in front of me. I don't have this, you can't do this. There's no way. It's unfortunately sometimes the opposite, where I think I can do too much, perhaps.
I can see that. Yep.
But yeah, no, I don't see ceilings. I don't see roadblocks.
I love that. I think it's really important to be able to picture that image of not seeing ceilings, because I'm always looking at where I stop, where I can stop, and where the limits are. And then I just kind of like limit myself from the bottom floor. You know, I kind of look, I'm like, nah, I can't do it. It's too much. And you just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's partially in my DNA. It's partially the things that get thrown at you, and you have no choice but to deal with them and try to figure them out.
Well, I'm going to tell you, like, I feel like this episode, we're going to be digging into my own brain, because a lot of the stuff that we were talking about, it's very relatable to me. I kind of feel like, without sounding like a crazy person, you're like the glow up version of Deb circa pre-pandemic. You really are. And I'll tell you why. Because I think the idea of like, I have the heart that you have, I have that entrepreneurial spirit. I love that feeling of like, oh, I did this. But that has been put to the side because I 100,000% focus. I find in my older ages, in my older years, I'm not able to like do as much of the multitasking I used to. I'm not able to balance it all. But I've just very recently started climbing out of that burnout pit, thanks to my wonderful guests, and that includes you. And I think you are already there. And so I'm like climbing out the pit, and I really want to pick your brain.
Yeah.
That's why you're here.
For it. Yeah.
So let's pick her brain.
Let's
do it. So let's start with the obvious. We talked a lot about your career and your love for it, your passion, living the flow, right? Living in the flow zone.
Yeah.
So as I get to know my guests, I realized there's one kind of common theme that you would have when we talked, and it was like, I love my work. It's fun. I don't see work as work, you know? And I love that because you are living up to that motto of yours where it's like, you know, I'm just going to do my thing. I'm going to do what I'm meant to do. And you actually go for it. You don't just talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, I consider myself so lucky on a regular basis because from a young age, I've always been a very artistic person. And I knew that if I had some sort of job and some sort of career where I got to be artistic or I got to like lean into that,
yes,
I don't consider that work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And like, it's nice because then because you love your, well, it's officially called a job, but because you love this aspect of your life, it coexists cohesively with your family life, and we'll get more into the whole caregiving thing and all the stuff that comes with family life. Yeah. But you're able to make it work because you don't dread it.
That's right. And I think, you know, I have pretty much most people that I'm friends with, you know, have the 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. And although those quite literally are my hours plus some,
I'm sure it's plus some. Yeah.
It's, you know, it's mundane for them, and they go and they get this paycheck, and then, you know, perhaps they have hobbies outside of that, whereas my hobbies are small and my work is large, and I'm okay with it because I love what I do.
You kind of call your work your hobby.
I do. Yeah.
That's wild to me. I love that.
Yeah.
And like, I think I feel the same way because my passion project, well, it's funny. I'm asked to talk, which is, I don't know why. I don't understand. But I'm asked to talk, and I don't see as work. I don't even get nervous, let's say. Maybe today I'm a little bit nervous because like, I just feel like I want to do you justice. We have a lot to talk about. Yeah. But when I'm doing, let's say, like a Zoom call or something, I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. I love this, you know, and I'm some sort of speaker, but online or whatever. It'll be a different story. Well, check in with me if I'm ever on stage. It'll be different, so I'll be throwing up in the corner somewhere. But the point is, I think like when you love what you're doing, when you're creating, and you're an artist and you're creating and you're just being your best, most authentic self, you will thrive and you'll play. It'll be fun.
Yeah, and I think that I've had, lots of opportunities, whether it was with Sephora or, now with Bellamy or with Toasty, of course, where I've got to see lots of different sides of the business.
Yeah.
So, I get to be a makeup artist and then I get to manage, 70 people. But
Incredible.
for me doing that, it's like your cup is so full at the end of the day because you
Yeah.
see people accelerate and grow and do well
And you're a
and
part of
be
that.
a part of
Oh,
that.
that's rewarding.
It's very rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need to be, no shade on surgeons because we love surgeons, but you don't have to be a surgeon
That's
to know you're
right.
making a difference in someone's life because
Yeah.
like the heart is something huge, right?
Yeah.
The heart and the mood and the feelings and it, it all has to do with serving, the
Yeah,
others, right? And you're doing that.
if I have somebody that, was an employee 10 years ago and they still say to me, you were my favorite leader I've ever had, or you were my
I love
this,
that.
that, or the other thing,
Yeah,
those are the things at the end of the day that make everything worth it.
absolutely.
And those long hours or those this or that, you just want to go home and see your family, truthfully. But that always makes it worth it.
It
Always.
is.
Yeah.
That's what really fills your cup. That's why you do it.
That's why I do it.
Oh, I love that. So, okay, well, speaking of which, so your business is not just, let's take it further. Your business is with beauty.
Hmm.
And so for me, it's hard for me to wrap my head around. So I did also beauty to some degree in a way of like blogger, let's say. So I did content creation, let's
Hmm.
say, as part of my business, or I had to show up somewhere. So there is beauty, or you're representing a company. For me, I represent, let's say, products, or I represent. So there's kind of like an aura that you have to carry, and you're a mom,
Yeah,
and we all know motherhood is so exhausting.
very much so.
So the, it would be easy if, let's say, you created an app. You could just put your hoodie on and you sit behind your desk and you do your thing. But in your world,
Yeah.
you got to put your face on. You got to give yourself the beat down. You gotta have your hair done. You got to stand up straight. I mean, that's a lot of pressure on a woman, on a mom who's carrying the other aspects of motherhood on her shoulders, the deadlines, the worries of the little one, right?
Yeah.
And so, how do you make it work? Because I can tell you, we go to school pickup. This girl, she comes in here like owning the school field. I'm like, who is this force? Who is this woman?
Oh my
And you
gosh.
walk there, and it's not intimidating in that way. I'm just saying, like, I think the reason why I'm attracted to that, because I do love the aesthetics. I love like beauty. I do. And so
Hmm.
I see you and I'm like, she can do it. Why can't I? And then and there's no comparison. There's no feeling of like less than because you open your mouth and you're like, she's my peeps, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't ever feel intimidated by it, but I'm inspired by it. You know, that's a lot of pressure on you. Like, how the heck do you do it?
Yeah, I think it's a few different things. Like
Mm.
I think that when, you speak to self-care and you
Mhm.
speak to these things and those like little minutes that you get after giving so much,
Mhm.
um that is my self-care. So it's like a little check box every single day that I got to do this today. I got
Yeah.
to, do my hair, put my face on,
Mhm.
and I could do sort of bare minimum. But ultimately, it makes me feel like myself and it
Yeah.
makes me feel connected to myself. And I think as a mom, you know so well, like we feel this like sense of identity loss sometimes, the sense of like,
100%.
disconnect from ourselves.
Yes.
And I was so committed,
Mhm.
to not feeling that way.
Mhm.
And it's funny because my son is there was moments where I didn't have, say, like lashes on, and he tells me I look weird. And so, that just goes to show like how used to it he is,
Yes,
right? And
yeah.
I don't want to look weird to him.
I
So
love
I got to
that.
make the commitment every day.
Please.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of self-care, and for sure there's pressure in the industry. There always has been to be a certain way and look a certain way. And I think the best thing generationally that has happened
Yep.
is the acceptance of wearing no makeup, wearing all the makeup, wearing red lipstick, wearing no lipstick. I mean, I see beauty in everything,
100%,
and I
yes.
see beauty when people wear no makeup. And I
Yeah.
think, I wish I could just not wear makeup. So it's funny. It's the flip of the coin,
That's funny you say that, but it's not even just your makeup, although it's flawless as we can see.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
not really the makeup even. It's your, like I said, it's the presence, right?
Mhm, mhm.
You don't come in with this like I always feel like I'm rushing in there. I feel like there's this martyrdom that comes in. I'm like I'm tired. I had a hard
Mm.
night, and it shows, and I actually show it in my face, and I feel as miserable like as I feel I look. So and it's not about the aesthetics either. It's like you're walking the talk and you're talking the walk and there's a confidence. I think that's what it is. And I think a lot of moms, like you said, a lot of moms, they miss that piece of themselves. Like sometimes it's a lip, sometimes it's their hair like in the perfect ponytail,
Mhm.
sometimes it's getting your nails done. It's not always about, the perfect blend of everything, but you do make it work. And it's also part of your business. So
Yeah.
there is that kind of like extra pressure that you have. And so I'm in awe of that because I want people if I call myself as an influencer of some sort,
Yeah.
to some degree I'm an influencer. I got to live like I gotta live out my product. I have to like I like to show skincare stuff that I do. I like it, but I don't do that in my everyday. So what am I trying to influence if I can't, I can't, integrate it into my life? You are living your brand. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that I've gone it's like ebb and flow
Yeah,
a
ebbs and
little
flows. Yeah,
bit.
it's hard. It's not easy. Yeah.
Because it goes back to that whole piece that you spoke to earlier where I really hone in on my sort of motto of knowing who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm not always trendy. I'm not always doing, the things that TikTok tells me to do or, those things. I think, me having confidence and,
Yeah.
you know, having a certain aura about me or like whatever you would say, um, I think it's just because I really know who I am and I own it.
That is what it is. We can just end this episode now. Done. Bye. See you later. That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking. I couldn't get the words out. And this is my job to talk. Why couldn't I get the words out? You just spelled it out. You know yourself.
Yeah.
That's pure. We're not going to cry. We're not crying today. Don't make me cry. I'm not wearing my waterproof makeup. Okay. So let's not do that. It's true. You know yourself so well. That's what it is.
I think that's
I
also
love that,
how I
Sarah.
navigate that pressure from this industry.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, and at my age, almost 40 now, I sit here and a 20 something
Mm.
in the business will tell me, I listen. I'm like, you tell me everything. Whereas 10 years ago, I would have been like, nope, this is who I am. This is whatever. But I allow that opportunity for conversation. However, I'm never going to do these viral TikTok
Okay.
things, but I'll listen. I'll
At least
listen because
listen.
they teach me stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well,
They
you're
keep me
never you're not
current.
you're not afraid to learn more.
No, I love it. I
Well,
love
that's
being
part.
vulnerable and
Yeah.
listening to all the things and admitting I don't know stuff.
Well,
But
that's the part of you
yeah.
knowing yourself so well that you don't question the world around you because you're like, I'm just gonna like take it in
Yeah.
because it's not gonna affect me, and I'll just use what I want to use and get rid of the other like the trends. We're gonna not do that because that's not gonna that's not gonna work for me. I
Yeah.
get that. I
Yeah.
love that. That's a beautiful thing. I'm done. All right, let's go. Bye. Okay, no, I'm serious. That was wonderful. Okay, so let's talk about this because I think the one thing where I can smell. I hate to say this. I can smell from a mile away a creative brain.
Mm.
Okay, so let's just say it. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
ADHD. We
Mm.
talked about. I'm not diagnosing her. Okay, we had a prep call. She had told me she has ADHD. Let's make
She's like,
that clear.
actually, I've noticed a few things.
Like, can I say? Where's my put my glasses on? Okay, so this world might see ADHD as
Mhm.
chaos and
Mhm.
struggle and strain and rejection and wanting to fit in. So I want to ask you,
Yeah.
do you find that secret sauce to help you with your success of your business and your life and the balance with an ADHD brain? What is your secret?
I think, oh man, I've got a lot of secrets, I guess. But
You want to start with like maybe at your workplace. Let's what are some things that
Yeah, I mean,
help you?
first and foremost, truthfully, step one is finding something that engages your interest, and engages that, ADHD brain that ping pongs and needs to,
Mm-hmm.
stay in the relevancy,
Mm-hmm.
not be wandered off somewhere else. That's why, I think working in a job where I get to wear multiple hats, do multiple things, it's never stagnant. I'm in the chaos as I like to be.
Yeah.
If I was in a different type of position where I was, sitting doing the same task over and over and over again, I think I would struggle really
That would be
hard.
tough. Yeah.
Yeah. And so being a creative brain and being in the beauty industry and doing lots of different things always keeps my interest there.
Yeah.
In terms of staying organized and like the logistics behind it, I used to have plenty of post-it notes all around my office that would get really out of control. And one thing that I realized is like, being vulnerable, having a support system,
Yeah.
having people, and I think I had told you in the
Mm-hmm.
past that, being a leader, I love being a leader. I'm really great with people and people are my favorite thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual administration side or the putting things in action side, sometimes I lack. And so I had an assistant manager at Sephora who used to organize my post-it notes for me
Mm,
in a train of thought.
love that.
So I think, having a good support system, having great people around you, communicating your needs and being honest, being transparent.
Yes, I think that's key. Not to
Yeah,
pretend like
not
you
to
got this together.
pretend.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, I love that. So this train of thought situation, um, that is secret sauce because you know how you thrive in a workplace or like from an administrative point of view. You're like, this isn't my strength,
Mhm.
or you're saying that, and then someone comes in and says, "Hey, but I can carry that side. I can help you with that, or I can help." Develop a system using your post-it notes or whatever.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by train of thought? Like, what does she do with this thing?
So, I mean, one of my favorite things, and again, goes back to the no ceilings, I always have ideas and I'm always, excited to create and do things differently and look at things differently. And, you know, that in that sentence, just how it was kind of all over the place is exactly how my brain is.
Mm.
And so, I'd write things down really quickly on a post-it note so I wouldn't forget because it's busy up here.
Yeah.
And
Get it out. Get it
get it
out.
out.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was taught that a long time ago too. It's like those overwhelming thoughts that are in your brain.
Yeah.
Whether it's something at work or at home,
Mm-hmm.
write them down, remove them from the storage unit, get them,
Right.
or sorry, put them in a storage unit
Yeah.
rather, and come back to them. And
Yeah.
it's not necessarily like avoidance or procrastinating. You need to just deliver this in a different spot so that you can come back to it after and focus on what's in front of you.
Brilliant. You're transferring. You're transferring.
I'm transferring the
You're placing it,
information.
and that in
Yeah.
itself is an organized way of doing things. So then your assistant manager would assist you with like
Yeah, so
categorizing.
she's very type A personality and I definitely, I like I like having those people in my corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean beyond that, she's a wonderful human being, but she would
That helps.
it definitely
Definitely
helps. It
helps.
definitely helps.
Yeah.
And I lend a lot of my success as a leader to her because
Oh.
truthfully, her and, a couple others who were really, crucial in my growth. But she would take that and she'd be like, okay, well, I see you wrote A, B, and C down. So in order to achieve that, we would need to do this,
Doesn't
and
this?
this.
I love that.
And I just get to end result, big picture
Yeah.
moments real quick. And
not?
and she's like, that's a great idea. I wouldn't have thought of that, but we do need to do 43 steps before
So
we get
she
there.
reels you
She
in.
reels me in. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So you found your people in your workplace. Okay, so then I'm guessing this
Mhm.
lovely partnership you have with Jason of 12 years.
Yeah.
Does he do the same thing?
Sort of. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I
Okay.
surround myself with
You
people
do.
like this.
You're choosing the right people.
Yeah, and I mean, he is again, I owe a ton to him because
Yeah.
all of these things would never be
Oh,
possible.
supportive,
Um,
supportive partner. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, so supportive.
Mm.
He he likes my ideas and he can get a little chaotic with them too,
Mm.
truthfully.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's so supportive and he wants to see me thrive and do well and our family do well. And he knows his hobby is football and
Mm.
my hobby is working. We talk about it all
Yeah.
the time. So
Totally,
yeah,
totally. And then but he sounds like so he keeps you grounded, but he's also a hype man. Like he's like, I like this idea. Let's go with this. Like, is it a we when he talks about things? He's like, we came up with a great
hundred
idea.
percent.
Oh, I love it. Oh,
100%,
I love it.
especially, and I know we'll talk about Toasty, but with Toasty, he was just on board. He was ready for an employee number. He's like, "Where do I sign up?" Like he's been spray tanned. He's had every color put on him, and he will rock it. He's in a group of people and he's talking about self-tanning, to his football friends. Like, people that you would think would never care about having a glow. And he's such a hype man for sure, but he also keeps me humble and
Yeah.
he also, brings me down to a
Keeps
level.
it real with you
Yeah,
too.
yeah, for
Yeah, yeah.
sure. And I mean, I'm a pretty modest human being and I don't
Yeah.
really think that anything that I've done is super great, but he'll
Very
really
humble.
lean into that for me. So,
Yeah.
and not in a bad way, just in a very like, keep me where I need to be.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that that is why it's called a partnership, and that's
Yeah.
kind of like that's the standard it should be.
Yeah.
I don't think we should settle for less, and I absolutely love that he keeps you grounded. And then he's kind of like your marketing tool too. He'll walk
Mhm.
around and be like,
Mhm.
"Do you like my glow? Do you like my glow?" I mean, just love it.
Oh yeah, when we went away on a football tournament trip last May and I had spray tanned him before he went. Because I think some people forget, like, spray tanning isn't not just necessarily about having a tan. Like,
Yeah.
it's for people that have like scars on their bodies or things that
Oh,
they
yes.
don't necessarily want to showcase, or perhaps they do, which is also amazing. But, for him,
Yeah.
he likes it because it's like body makeup. And so we spray tanned him before we went to this tournament and he was, telling everybody to get toasty
Oh,
and
that's
just,
awesome.
yeah, it was great.
I never would have thought about that aspect of your service.
Yeah,
To help with some of the blemishes and the
that's right.
discomfort. Again, you're serving the people. Come on. And it's funny because I would never think of myself as a target audience for you. I never would have, but now I'm thinking
Yeah, I mean,
I could use a glow.
me and my business partner talk about that, a lot because
Yeah.
it's really there's no specific person that this is
Right.
for. It's
Right.
really for everybody.
Yeah.
Male, female, whoever you are.
Well, I mean, you think, oh, she's got her. No, I mean, in the winter, I lose my color. I feel
Mhm.
dull. And truth be told, I went through the whole I want to, go in one of those little suntan thingies or whatever those
Mhm. A tanning bed?
terrible,
Yeah.
terrible things for you. Because I knew I was gonna go to like Mexico with friends, whatever, and I
Yeah.
wanted to look my cutest self. And then also when your body changes and you want to start to work out and do your stuff,
Yeah.
it's nice to have a little color as to add some dimension. And so I kind of would do that. I used it, so I mean, why wouldn't this apply to me too?
Yeah.
Right? It's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like it's confidence boost in a bottle. Like
Yes.
as soon as we start getting into like this West Coast weather where it's like gray and rainy and we feel a little drab and we forget that having that like little bit of like a tan, a little bit of a glow, like it makes you feel so good. And
Yeah.
it's not complicated. This isn't 1991. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the products are good and easy to work with.
And that's why I said, it was with heart
It was with
because
heart.
you kept in the back of your mind, I want to keep people safe
Mhm.
because you know firsthand.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about it now.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so our wonderful Sarah is here because this is how we're going to start. I'm going to say that our wonderful dear friend Carly, shout out to Carly. We love Carly.
Love Carly.
She had always known about my burnout. she knew the multiple things I was doing with my life, and she's always supported me. And she says, you got to talk to my friend Sarah. And and a lot of because we had a lot of losses and we experienced a lot of it really delayed our parenting plan. And so I'm one of the older ones at school pickup type thing. So most of the kids that are in our son's age group, the mums are all the same kind of age. So I haven't bumped into not one person in this little circle or in this area, or people know each other in this city. Not one person I know that's a caregiver or has experienced caregiving.
Yeah.
And so I do feel a little alone in this, because most of my friends who are experiencing it in the city I was born in, or that I grew up in, they're empty nesters. They have university students. Some are even their kids are having kids, so they're able to go and caregive and put focus on their aging parents or parents that are ill. And I'm, not to play the violin. I sometimes play the violin, but I have a young one who needs me. I have a special needs teenager. I myself had the neurodivergent brain, and I have my aging parents who I place on a pedestal. They are very important to me, very important. So it's really hard to determine what goes first and who goes first and who's top of, Then I heard about you,
Mm.
and I just felt this, there's a person that know, seriously. And she's cool too. She's great. I love Sarah. I'm like, she's cool too. She's not miserable like me, because I was just miserable all the time. And it's not because of my parents or my kids. It's just I didn't know how to balance it all. I felt so alone in it. So then I was gobsmacked. And so I want to talk to you about this.
Yeah.
Take me on this journey of caregiving.
Yeah. Yeah. So I left. I actually was kind of experiencing a little bit of burnout from my previous position,
Okay.
because, having crews, and I traveled a lot with Sephora, whether it was meetings or conferences, or I was on this really great team that opened new stores around Canada, and I had the best of times. But I was having a hard time managing and having work-life balance at that point, with crews being so young. So I had left that position, and I was kind of in a bit of a transitional stage. And then COVID had hit, and we noticed my mom starting to not be well, and there were some signs. But however, we were in the thick of COVID, and my mom, she had me at 39. So she's, roughly the same age as I think your parents. And so there were some signs that we noticed for sure, just nauseous, not being well, but getting a hold of a doctor and being, available for those things was pretty hard.
Yeah.
COVID really took a toll. And anyway, so she ultimately ended up getting diagnosed with colon cancer in August 2021. Which they had said at the time was curable, but it ended up not being, because we had to wait for her to get surgery. And by the time she went in, because again, we're in COVID, it had metastasized. So unfortunately, we found out that it had metastasized after an emergency surgery. And my mom lives in the in-law suite below us. So naturally, my mom had said to me many years ago, she said, I'm not going into assisted care. I refuse to be that person. That's not for me. So she was like, here's the perfect situation. So anyways, she ended up being sick. My brother's local too, but he has a very intense job with politics. And so and because I live with my mom, it just seemed the natural, situation. So she got diagnosed with that. And then, all that comes along with it, with surgeries, chemotherapy. And it was funny. My mom just came home from surgery yesterday, and another one. And she, as we're walking out, getting her stuff, her belongings, getting her into the car, she says, I think I counted today. I think I'm on number 8 of surgeries. And I was like, you know what, Mom? I think you're right. I think, and you know what? We take it pretty lighthearted. Obviously, it's a very serious diagnosis, but every day you have to count your blessings
What a
and be so
survivor.
grateful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They gave her about 6 months to a year
The first time
the
around,
first time
no?
around. Yeah. After they said that she was curable. And then not. So
Yeah,
they said 6 months to a year, and it just it just hits you so hard. And you're like, hang on a second, you were fine. And then all of a sudden you're not fine. So it's quite a roller coaster to be on, but I think my initial instinct is just to be there. My mom has taught me, and I've taught Cruz, and I think it's the same thing with Jason, truthfully.
mhm, mhm.
That family is definitely the most important thing in your life.
Yeah.
She took care of me. She would take care of me. So
Mhm.
it's natural progression, and I need to be there for her.
I just the hair on my arm is standing up because it's a whole different tone. We're talking about family, your mom,
Yeah.
you're part of her.
Yeah.
She's part of you. And then yeah, the other end of things, you're this like you're running the show and you're busy and like, but when you talk about family,
Yeah.
there is a glow. There's this
Is there?
natural glow
Yeah.
that whether it's
Yeah.
the toasty or not.
Right? Yeah, I know.
But
Yeah.
no, there's a love I can see. Like you're just like
Mhm.
that's like what I need to do for her. That's what I
Mhm.
want to do. She would do it for me. It's just a no brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
And there's no judgment on people who aren't able to do that.
That's right.
Absolutely. But you made
Absolutely.
it work.
Yeah.
You made it work. Okay. So what happened to Sarah, the dynamic leader, and all this? Did this affect your work, especially during the pandemic? How were you able to get through all that? Or did this ultimately lead to burnout? I mean, obviously, that wouldn't be a surprise. Like, how were you able to manage even just like a basic things? Like, you had to go to the hospital, you had to make calls, but you also have to make calls for work, and you have to do this, and then you have crews, and then you have the. I mean, how?
Yeah, again, I think, it comes down to those like common factors again. Like I obviously had to lean into Jason
Yeah.
a lot because I was, primarily there for mom. And, those were things where I really needed him to step in with Cruz and be there and do certain things. But also Cruz brought a lot of light and love to my mom who was struggling, right?
Yes.
So it was kind
Yes.
of like it's like this like family event. Like we're just all in this together.
We.
We,
Again, the
yeah,
we.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
It's
none
not
of,
just you. We. I
no.
love that. Yes.
Yeah. And I think like I'm very like take the bull by the horns nature anyways.
Yeah.
To the point that actually my mom's oncologist thought I worked in the medical system.
I can totally see that. You
Because
already have you got your glasses on. You're like,
literally.
okay, we haven't
Hmm.
attacked this. I got a postie for that. I got a postie for
Right.
that. But
100%.
you
Yeah.
research it. I can see
Yeah.
that. You know what you need to know
That's
as you
right.
go in there.
Yeah.
She's so lucky to have you.
Oh,
So
thank
lucky.
you.
And your dad, I mean, you went through all this stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that just, and it's funny, just to quickly, talk about Cruz,
Yeah.
this exposure to caregiving. I know in my personal life, I have raised, I don't even think, I think it was unknowingly, I raised a very sensitive, loving person
Yeah.
in both my kids, but mostly my little guy. When he was little,
Hmm.
he was already, giving the meds, and like he would hold my mom's hand when we would be taking her blood pressure. And weirdly enough, it lowered her blood pressure. We would take three. Yeah,
Wow.
we would take
That's
three.
incredible.
And because she would be smiling and she would be warm.
Hmm.
And then he's so funny. He'd just be playing with a toy or eating an apple, and he'd be holding her hands. And then now as he gets a little bit older, there is still a love and loyalty.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I already know the answer to this question, but how did this affect Cruz being exposed to caregiving?
Well, I have raised this very empathetic,
Yes. Yes.
cares deeply about his family and his friends, probably to a fault a little bit.
Yeah.
But he is, sometimes I forget that he, being 7 years old, he
Ugh.
was raised in a pandemic. He was raised with, a number of people in his life being sick. His dad was sick for a while,
Oh no.
also. And so, he's seen a lot in his little life, and he's just he's so funny. I actually wasn't feeling good last night, and we have a home phone for safety purposes. And
Right.
so I called the landline from my cell phone and I said, Cruz, I don't feel very good. Can you get mommy a glass of water? And he said, okay, mom, what is it? What else can I get you? It's just, he talks like he's like
He's an
24.
old soul.
He's such
That's
an old soul.
hilarious.
What is it, mom? But
He's so cute.
he's very empathetic. He's very
Yes.
caring. He's seen my mom in the worst of it and the thick of it.
It's hard.
Yeah, to the point, it's what chemo does to you is wild. And,
Oof.
you
Yeah.
know, my mom was unrecognizable for a long time. And he just, it's so funny. He's like me. He just like adapts. He's like, okay, well, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, I love
And,
that.
and we just got to be our best selves and do the best that we can.
You really did pass that on to him, like
I think
the
so, yeah.
ability to adapt. That's not easy because we do a lot of adjustments for our kids. We've talked about this as like giving them the freedom to kind of like be who they are and do this and that. But I think sometimes when we are hovering and overprotective of our
Mhm.
kids and hide them from the reality, I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, we didn't tell our son that so and so is sick," like either their
Yeah.
grandparents or their parent or their best friend or whatever. We didn't tell them, and then they're like, shocked when
Yeah.
it gets worse, and like you allowed him to grow with you as you
Yeah.
were navigating this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
I think you know, there's a there's a realness in it all.
Yeah.
And as much as I want to protect his feelings and make sure he's
Of
okay,
course, yeah.
I think that, not being real and not, it opens the tone for questions and why. And I love when he asks me questions,
Yes, yeah,
It's that
yeah.
like knowledge is power. The
It
more you know.
is.
And I definitely wouldn't want him to have this as a shock. And he's very close with his nana.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm really open with Cruz.
I love that. I think
Yeah.
that's just a beautiful thing, and that relationship is key. Really, it
Hmm.
is. And you're giving her that gift, and I think that's extending lives when we allow our aging parents to like see this other generation. It's different when you're raising your own kid. Like I got all slapped around when my parents love me, but they're just like no, 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 and then my
Yeah.
kids come in and they're like yes,
Yeah.
yes. You
100%.
want this? I'll feed you. I'll tie your shoe. I'm like, Mom, she's 13. You don't need to tie her laces.
Right?
Stop bending. Like they
Yeah.
will do anything for their grandkids because it gives them joy. And I always say with my little guy because he's such a he's comic relief.
Yeah.
And
So
sometimes
cute.
when he's when my parents are with my brother who doesn't live here, and he's like the world's greatest caregiver on earth. Like I just cannot
Oh.
compare to my brother. Don't tell him I said that. I don't like complimenting that
Secrets.
guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, he's an amazing caregiver, but he doesn't have kids at home anymore. Like these successful, wonderful men that he raised. But so he's an empty nester. So I feel like there's an element of having kids, and this is where we're kind of lucky because I kind of feel like, oh, we have it hard because we have young kids and we have aging parents and this and that, right? But for them to have the comic relief, the lightheartedness of a
Yeah.
7-year-old, it's just that's a gift.
Yeah, it's that
That's
it's
yeah.
that lack of or in our case, we don't want to be so serious for like a
Yes.
second, and
Yeah.
him, the boys to bring in this like light, this excitement, this innocence, this,
Yes.
different set of eyes really from
Yes.
what we're seeing in the world.
Yeah.
It's so key. And I mean, I think that's why Cruz is like the number one person I hang out with. Like
Oh,
he does like he gives me that like his level of worries is probably three things, and that will be, am I getting dessert tonight? Do I have to have a shower? And do I have to brush my teeth? That is his level of
as
worries
it should
right?
be.
And so like let me live in that
Yes.
brain for a hot sec.
Yes.
You know?
Okay. This just eases us right into the next thing I wanted to talk to you because
Yeah.
this is a big thing for me. And it doesn't seem serious to some people. It is a big, serious topic for me. Well, it's not that serious, but I want to talk about the big uncovered secret that
Mm.
keeps you afloat, Miss Sara Jonsson. The secret gamer.
Mm.
This wonderful like little secret you have hiding, behind closed doors with your buddy, with your little, you get all competitive. I heard you get rough out
A
there.
little bit, yeah.
Get a little
Mhm,
rough, right?
mhm, yeah.
Um, I love that. And I think that connection, I want you to tell me more about it, but this is my guess.
Mhm,
I feel like, in my experience, I'm going to make this about me today.
mhm, mhm,
So I had a hang up with screen time. You know.
mhm, yeah,
I'm the person that gets a little bit of the fear mongering. TikTok sends me something, goes my algorithm. And then all the people I know who are on my team of screen's not bad. It's not going to kill your kids because it's the only way we can get things done. My goodness. And we're trying to run businesses. We got all
yeah,
this. So we have to kind of keep them busy. Yes, we're going to balance it with good things. But like, is screen really the enemy? Is it? Meanwhile, I'm on my screen working. It's
right,
really tough to
right.
balance that. So I would get the fear mongering and I'd be sending it to these wonderful people. And this one won't budge though. You were like, well, it sucks.
Yeah,
But guess what you did? I mean, this girl goes in and plays with them. What a concept. It's not about like, get off, like blah, 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 blah. Because you're right. Like they could just run into the other room and like sneak in a little bit of, gaming here and
yeah,
gaming there. Okay. So let's talk about this.
yeah.
Secret gamer for Cruz's sake or for Sarah's sake? Is it partially a little bit of both? What's the story?
Yeah, I mean, when I was Cruz's age, I think it was like Nintendo maybe, and
Yes.
Atari
Yeah,
had just
Atari,
sort of like, you know,
the thing.
yeah. Um, and I was obsessed then as a kid. Like I always played Sega and Sonic was my favorite. So we've bonded big because
Well, that's serious stuff.
Cruz is a big Sonic fan, and it was
Nice.
my one of my favorite games as a kid. But what I do know, and I'm really sorry, Mom, if you listen to this, is I used to sneak into the computer room and I would play on our old school desktop computer that barely worked. And I would play Tony Hawk Pro Skater until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Stop.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wait, were you given limits? Is that why you had to
Oh,
sneak
yeah.
in? Oh, well, there you go. Here's the proof. The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah. My mom still doesn't know to this day that I did that.
Oh,
So
she
here it
does
is.
now.
Here it is.
Hi, Mom.
All the
Sorry.
secrets coming out. And I would download some songs on Napster, and I would play Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
I love it.
And so I think it's like it's part of it's like who I am. I
Yes.
love gaming. I had a hiatus from it for a long time, but
Did it kill you?
yeah,
A little bit?
and I think it's because I thought like too like new world about games, and like they're very like 3D a lot of things
yeah,
now, whereas
yeah.
I'm used to like 1D or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I kind of have a funny stance on it all. I enjoy it, and then I also, um, you know, there's this balance that just needs to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I play with Cruz, it's bonding. It's filling my, and
Your cup. Yeah.
it's filling my cup. I mean,
Yes.
honestly, it is me jumping out of reality. That's me getting into something a little bit different
Yes.
because I'm focused
That's
on something,
true.
right?
Oh, you're making me understand my daughter better.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like it's you're again a hyperfixation perhaps of ADHD. And yeah, I get super competitive with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get too
Lot-
intense, and then Jason will regulate us both. And
Kids.
yeah,
Oh, that's hilarious. I love
put
that.
down the games. It's dinner time. I'm like, no. But
That's awesome. You're that's so cool. I love that. Cruz is now, you're making all these core memories for Cruz. He's gonna look back, he's just gonna always remember Mama played with me and she was rough. I finally kicked her butt.
yeah.
But finally she let me. Like you didn't even let him win. You just like you give him the right kind of competition. Like it's perfect.
Well, and it's kind of like fighting that battle a little bit, right? Because like I
Yeah.
think the fear is like some of these gaming platforms are really scary,
Oh,
and
Yeah. I know.
there's one hard and fast rule that I have, and I won't waver with for probably 10 years until he can make his own decisions,
Mm.
is chatting
Oh gosh. the chat
online.
feature.
So
yeah.
so not being able to like have a microphone or listen
Mhm.
for many reasons. And like he can type in the chat, but when Cruz plays Roblox or something of that nature, I am playing with him. I am
love that.
playing beside him. And if I'm not, I'm still beside him, so I know what's happening.
You're so present and you're letting
I
him do
try to
what
be.
brings him joy. There's nothing wrong with that. I
Yeah.
mean, that's incredible stuff. And it's funny because I often say I have to embrace this because I need to work and those hours are crucial and so I end up doing it when the kids go to sleep. And I feel like being present for my kids is like frolicking out in we have like a cement jungle outside,
Mhm.
a concrete jungle outside. We don't really have grass. We're getting there soon. But there's just this pressure of like, oh, I have to be present in this certain way. There is a way to be present
Yeah.
whilst doing what brings them joy and comfort. I know with my daughter, it's with a lot of kids with sensory needs and like with being on the spectrum, there is a safety of having a screen. There's a
Yeah.
safety of not following rules per se. Let's say something like Roblox. You can just run around and just be yourself and try on these cute outfits and they role play. It's a beautiful thing. I think the trigger point for me is that I kind of feel like I had a hard time transitioning her off and then not being listened to when we say get her off, like we have to get off. So what I started to do, and it was something that was just kind of, this is a little bit of TikTok therapy because we all need a little TikTok therapy.
Yeah.
I actually go in there. We made a little character for Mama, and I go in there and like a cute little character with like glasses and a bun, Mama bun. I
Oh my
walk
gosh.
there and I go, it's time for dinner. I type it in. It's time for dinner now. Come. And once she actually responds, okay, Mom, hey, check out this outfit. And then we're like holding hands, out into the abyss of Roblox land. And next thing you know, she's sitting at the table. Oh my gosh, all I had to do
Yeah.
was connect with her. Find a way. And I found another way to do it. She has a safety with screen. And I spent days, years, months since the pandemic because it did increase and she does online learning as well. Even now, but even back then, and I didn't know how to navigate it. So I got a little nervous about the screen situation because it was a lot more than we could, I felt like she could handle.
Hmm.
And then I thought, oh, well, let's let go. Maybe it's the whole like she's not listening thing. Maybe I got to get her speak. Then I was doing like a reel on Instagram.
Yeah.
And she's just like peeking over my shoulder. She's just so in love with like she sees a screen. Even if there's words on it, she'll be like, "What are you doing? What is that?" But if it was a notebook, she'd be like, "I have nothing to do with that." She said, "We're in a digital world, right?" And
We
I'm
are.
not embracing it as much as I should, or I am now. But it took a while to get here. I was so stuck on this stupid song. I'm like, I'm not going to get a song for this. Like, I don't know how to choose a song. So for fun, I gave it to her. I said, "What do you think?" And it took me hours to come up with the right song. She takes my phone and she has a little attitude too. She's like, And she goes like, boop, 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 boop. She gives it back. And she goes, "What do you think?" She was so casual because she was like, she has your vibe. She's just like, "I'm cool. I'm comfortable with myself. It's cool."
Yeah.
I took that and I'm like, this took me 8 years to come up with this. It took you literally 3 minutes. You are officially hired.
Yeah.
As my my social media assistant. She is now choosing the music and now she's doing the editing. I'm embracing it. I'm bringing her into my world. I thought you'd appreciate that because you're doing the same thing. Like you're going into Cruz's world and he's feeling connected. And so you don't, that whole mom guilt of I have to work. I've got to do all this stuff. It's kind of gone because you spend that time. They always say you just need to spend like 10 minutes of connection or whatever. You go well beyond 10 minutes. I know I do, but like I don't marry the two worlds together as often as I should.
Well, and I think that you're also like speaking to you and your daughter, like you're leaning into her confidence too, right? And I think like again, that's where like taking a step back, letting them do something and something that's really important to you. You're letting her choose music. You're letting her like zero in on things that are really important to you. And
Yeah.
she's getting that celebration for it.
Oh,
And
yeah. The confidence is crazy.
the confidence is crazy. And, that is something that as a leader, I used to say too. It's like, if I don't let you fail though, how will you ever learn? Or that sort of mindset. Right. And so I let Cruz tell me how to do things all day long.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, especially with Roblox because I didn't know how to play
I
that.
don't know how to
That's
play
very
it.
new
It's
age,
so new
right?
age.
And so I'm like, I don't know. I can play Sonic on the Switch for sure,
I'm
but
always bumping into walls in
I
Roblox.
know,
It
I know.
kills
And
me.
my phone gets hot. It's like a whole thing.
The
And then I
heated phone.
never, I never answer text messages or phone calls because I'm on the server. Hello. Um, but
I love it.
I think, yeah, it's, we're all striving for balance. We're all trying to find that. Um, we've tried to put like apps on the phone where it's like he gets like an hour a day of gaming and then he can watch shows or whatever,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like make yourself busy. But like truthfully, it's like it's hard because some days are crazy and I need you playing games for 2 hours,
Yes. Yes.
so I can get stuff done. And maybe I'm not joining you this time, but I think that is, from him being small and being like, I don't want to play fire trucks. Like I have things to do. And I think that's where I struggled when he was little was I wanted him to be the age he is now so that I could do stuff like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
with him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I'm like, if you want to go play sports, I'm your girl. If you want to go
Yeah.
gaming, I'm your girl.
But you
If
don't
you
play
want
with fire trucks. You're like, I'm
I
not
don't
gonna
like
play
playing with fire trucks. Like I don't want to get down on the ground and watch the train go
It's just
around.
not
Like it's
working
just
for
not my
you. It's
jam.
not your
I
job.
need to do
Let's
stuff.
keep it real, right?
Yeah,
This is your
yeah.
life too. I mean, you might as well enjoy it because they can smell misery. They're like,
Right?
you hate this. And that's why when I play like Roblox with my daughter, she's just like, Mom, just give me that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But you get me behind the little joystick for like Pac-Man. We're like,
Yes,
there's
Pac-Man.
we're
Pac-Man's
yelling at
good.
each other. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And like I said, like you said, like we were talking about with, I give her my phone. I mean, there's a cohesiveness there too. Like we're able to find a common ground with like, I have a project to do. Can you fix it? And she loves music and
Yeah.
she's putting all her cool touches.
I
And
love it.
so she's really like embracing who she is. So it's funny because in our prep call, you had mentioned, because this is something I strive to be, or I feel like I'm most happy and happiest when I know that I'm playing a role that's profound to my kids, like not just being um, the person that corrects them and brushes
Yeah.
their teeth and feeds them. I'm someone that they really admire. I want them
Yeah.
to know or want in their presence. So like I love when my son goes, Mom, we haven't done our snuggle today. I'm like, oh, well, snuggle, let's go snuggle. And my daughter says it too, and she's already 13. I love that so much. You are a daddy's girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
Certainly am. Yeah.
Do you feel that contributed to just the kind of person you are? Like he really.
Yeah. I mean, my dad's a Cancer. He's very lovey.
Love that.
He's also very empathetic. And I think that a lot of Cruz's traits also come from my dad.
Yeah.
Perhaps passed down from me, etc. But my dad's a very hard worker.
Mhm.
When I grew up, my dad had at least 4 jobs going at one time.
Oh,
Um, and
that's where you got that.
I
Holy cow.
think I definitely did. My dad leaned into every position, gave 100%.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my dad had his like regular, sort of 7 to 4 job at the hospital, and then it would be one of his hobbies that he would be working at. So he likes playing golf, so he worked at the golf course. He was
Oh,
a curler, so he worked at the curling club. Like he would be going to these places that he enjoyed being
Oh,
and doing, but then would earn money from it. So
amazing.
yeah, I'm
He is so your dad. Wow.
yeah, he is for sure. And my dad's retired now, and I think he's very confused about what he's supposed to do with his time.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm very much a daddy's girl, and I think that he also doesn't have any sort of roadblocks or ceilings, and he's always encouraged me. Um, he definitely has been my number one supporter in terms of, work and life and choices and things that I want to do. And um, I am very much like him.
Wow. So
Very much.
he's always given you the autonomy to like create and
Yeah.
just be who you are.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful, and I think this is a wonderful way to like kind of button this up too.
Yeah.
Is just to know who you are, kind of know the roots of that. We do a lot of blaming in this world. Like,
Yeah.
oh, my mom did this, my dad did this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm finding more and more. That um, that if it wasn't for the bumps and bruises that my parents went through to give me the life I have, like I wouldn't have known struggle. I wouldn't have been able to survive it.
Yeah.
And that's just a beautiful way to look at it. And I think the relationship you have is inspiring for me because you are also passing it on to your son. And
Yeah.
I'm doing that with my kids and I love it. And I always question myself as a parent too. And that adds to the stress, but let's just go with the flow.
Just go with it.
I love that. So I want to just I like to talk about my takeaways, my
Yeah.
recap a bit. So I love that we talk about with your career, just the way you're able to balance it all. And you don't pretend you can balance everything. You
No.
don't pretend to. You do the best you can. But it helps when you love what you do. You
Mhm.
found something that speaks to you as far as a career and looking at it as almost play because it's so much fun, so enjoyable for you. And
Yeah.
the same with your home life. You're not going to pretend you're a fire truck player. You're like you're not going to get
Mm-mm.
down the floor, but you're like you're killer when it comes to like your competitive games. I'm never going to play with you. That's one thing I'm taking away because I'm terrible. Awful.
I'll just make sure Cruz is in the server with me because as he's learning how to read and to write,
Yeah.
he
Oh, perfect. See, there's lessons there too. Sorry.
there is he'll say, "Don't say that. That's my mom," in the chat group.
Oh,
I know.
she's
So we're gonna cherish it for the moment because in like
Yes.
he already tells me I'm cringe, so we're gonna wait. But he still does that. We love it.
Oh, I'm told I'm cringe all the time. Well, my daughter, when she takes my phone to do the music, she's like, lady, we're not in the 1800s anymore.
Lady.
And you know what sucks is that most of the songs that these kids use now are inspired from the songs
100%
from
they
the
are.
90s and the 80s.
Yep.
So like, don't even.
Yep. Mhm.
Lady cringe. Yeah, she says cringe too. Oh, those little pumpkins. Anyway, so another takeaway is knowing your limitations and yet not having a ceiling.
Mhm.
Just knowing what you're capable of, but just knowing the sky's the limit, right? Knowing it, but then also knowing your boundaries.
That's right.
I love that. And with caregiving, you give your all. You know your people. You know who you're surrounded with. You've got this wonderful, beautiful ADHD brain. I'm seeing the good side of ADHD because I've also experienced the bad side and the good side, the debilitating side. But you are honing into the good aspects of ADHD, knowing your limitations with that, and leaning into the people around you, your partner, the we, right? The
Yeah.
we, the team thing, which makes you an amazing leader. I want to be a leader when I grow up. So we are going to take notes. I have it all in here. There's proof that this happened. I am so happy that you came today.
Thank you.
I feel like we covered everything. I'm just done. I'm
Yeah.
going to walk away. I'm just going to live life now. So grateful.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad you came. And
Yeah.
what do you have any, last words of wisdom that you want to share with our burnt out caregivers that are probably letting go of their careers a little bit or feeling guilty about letting go of this and letting go of that? Do you have any words of wisdom that you can?
I think just, keeping your priorities top of mind, what's most important to you. And like I said, family number one, and my career, is a close second. Taking those moments of self-care, whatever those could be. And I feel like sometimes self-care is really overused and it needs to just be like a very simple term. Like what is that? What does that mean to you? Like, do you like exercising? Do you like doing your hair? Do you like buying a new lipstick? I don't know, just finding those little pieces and then, having an amazing support system. My family's everything. My brother, my mom, my dad, extended on my partner, child, his parents, I'm very grateful. I'm very blessed to have all of them in my corner and be there. But just take care of yourself, have a bath, have a tea, like do the things.
That's it. I'm done. I know all the answers to life now. I'm like telling you, it's funny because I just don't even think about that portion of things like sitting in a bathtub and like taking that time.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. I love that. Where can our viewers and listeners and now big fans follow you, Miss Sara Jonsson?
At Sarjo08.
Sarjo.
Yeah, it's the easiest way to do it. So SARJO and then 08.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then all your platforms, we can find you there?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Okay, and then you have all your links to your website so we can see a little bit more of this glow.
Yeah, we have Toasty Beauty Collection is our Instagram handle as well. And that would take you to any of our sunless tanning products.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Turns out I need it too. So don't be fooled. Okay, so I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
You have a big heart. You got lots going on. There's a reason why there's success. It's not just your smarts and your aura and all that. There's so much more in there, and I think that's really contributed to who you are. It's very inspiring. So thank you for sharing
Thank you.
your
It's very
vulnerability with
sweet.
us too. And it takes a very special soul as well to be a caregiver.
Hmm.
I'm going to add myself in the mix
Absolutely.
because sometimes I'm kind of hard myself. I kind of downplay my stuff, and then I see my mom, my dad, they're thriving,
Yeah.
and my kids are thriving,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting here right now, and I'm just kind of like out of the depths of burnout. I'm finally touching on my career and the stuff I love to do, and I think it's really important to know ourselves.
Yeah.
And I got that great takeaway from you, so thank you for that, and thank you for making space for me as well.
Absolutely.
You're amazing. So my wonderful burnt out besties and friends, continue to show up for your family by showing up for yourself first and foremost. And thank you for joining us here. We'll see you on the next episode of Sass and Small Talk. Bye. Sarah,
Was that okay? I have a cramp.
I need my sass back.
Signing off. See ya, guys. Bye.